Gerold Dreyer from the Global Shapers Windhoek Hub has been nominated as the Southern Africa Community Champion for 2026-27. He will oversee 13 hubs across 5 countries. Gerold, welcome to Namibia Connects. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you for having me.
Now first, for viewers who don't know, what is the Global Shapers community?
Yeah, thank you so much. So the Global Shapers community is really a global network of young people between the ages of 18 and 27 that are impacting social change in their local communities. So we have about 11,000 active members around the world, 8,000 alumni, and we are spread across 150 countries. So it's truly a global footprint of young people that are driving local impact. So the Windhoek Hub is just one of those hubs.
Now, what does it mean to be named the Southern Africa Community Champion for 2026-27?
So for me, it's a big honor and it's a privilege. I've been in the Global Shapers Windhoek Hub for the past 8 years, and I was planning to retire at the end of this year, but I got the call from management to step up as a community champion role. And it's a big deal because essentially it elevates my profile from a general member to a strategic level. So where I'll be supporting also management in terms of, really driving the impact in the region. So it's really a privilege for me to be driving this as a community champion, particularly in Southern Africa. And given that Pan-African development has always been a passion of mine.
Let's speak about your role a little bit. What will be your main focus?
So for me, I have a few focus areas, but I'll trim it down to 4 main ones. So it's really assisting the hubs with governance. So really ensuring that they have constitutions in place, that they're adhering to the Global Shapers Charter. And it really speaks to what are the requirements from the shapers, what are the commitments, what are the responsibilities, and also the scope within which they can operate. And really ensuring that all the hubs are on par with that, because that will really help us to truly do the work that we need to do. The second part is also building on engagement. So this really speaks to almost forming a community within each hub where people want to be there, they want to contribute. Because when people have fun and they like being somewhere, they generally tend to do more, right? So that's also a key focus for myself. Another one is also on systems change, right? So instead of just implementing projects and doing initiatives and activities, how can we really structure projects to really strengthen them? And that way also ensure that we are affecting system change at local government or even national government, the way that the Windhoek Hub has done with a few of our projects.
Let's talk in the Southern Africa specifically. What are some common challenges the 13 hubs face?
So funny enough, we have similar challenges around the world. And this is also why I mentioned my previous focus areas. So a big one is, of course, in terms of engagement of shapers. So really not having enough active shapers within the hubs. So really getting the shapers to commit more often to be part of activities and projects. That's really a big challenge that hubs are having. Some hubs also don't have enough members. So we need a minimum of 20 members per hub. So some hubs are struggling with that. So recruitment efforts, should also be a bit more targeted in that sense. And then finally, it's also just around creating really strong projects. So we focus a lot on activities and small initiatives, and not so much on large targeted interventions.
Maybe you can give us an example of what you mean by small.
So an example could be, let's say we're talking about environmental awareness and recycling. Instead of just doing a cleanup campaign, how can we elevate that project and strengthen it in the sense that, one, we get strategic partners on board, whether it's the city of Windhoek, Rent a Drum, and the likes. 2, perhaps going into one of the informal settlements, like a Tobias Hanyoko, for example, and raising awareness on the importance of waste segregation, of recycling, of buyback centers, etc. And then you take it a step further where you also, for example, let's take these waste pickers that go with the trolleys and go in the dustbins, picking garbage, right? Raising awareness for them in terms of how do you keep yourself safe, right? Because there's a lot of germs. So how do you keep yourself safe in the sense of using masks and gloves, but also dignifying that as a job? Because it's a dirty job that people see, but it's such an important job. So that's just like an example of how you create systems change where you're partnering with the relevant stakeholders in that space. And then ultimately also, how can we create almost a system around it in how can we bring the buyback centers closer to the people? How can we, for example, partner with the entities that are already doing this work to make it easier for them? So that's really kind of how you create long-lasting, sustainable impact, where we're not just coming to do an initiative and leave, but ultimately empowering the people to continue it on their own.
So how would you ensure that the Namibian voices are heard at the regional level?
That's a very good question. And I'll say that because my focus and scope is regional in its approach, my focus is not necessarily going to be on Namibia alone. Now, with that being said, there are 5 countries and 13 different hubs, and they each have unique challenges. They each have also unique opportunities. So my job is really going to ensure that whatever strengths Namibia has, we really promote that in terms of knowledge exchange and sharing best practices within the region, but also the Global Shapers community widely. And the same for the hubs in South Africa and Zimbabwe. So it's really around supporting all the hubs to make sure their voices are heard at a regional, but also local and national level, but ultimately also feeding back into the Global Shapers community.
So the Global Shapers model is decentralized. What does this mean for you as a champion?
Yes, so it's a very attractive model in the sense that every hub is self-organized. So the Windhoek Hub, the Cape Town Hub, etc., they all self-manage in the sense of they decide on the projects they want to have, the kind of shapers they want to recruit, the type of fundraising they want to do. But they all ultimately also have to adhere to the Global Shapers Community Charter, which is the blueprint of really laying out the ground rules of what we can and cannot do, but also the benefits and the criteria of being a member. So with the decentralized models, that's why it's really important that every hub has a hub charter, which is deduced from the Global Shapers Community Charter. So it's almost a replica of the bigger charter, where as a hub we commit to A, B, and C, and then all the members should sign onto that and agree that this is what we're going to do so that they can do that. So my job is really to ensure that there's coherence between the Global Shapers community at headquarter level, but also the local level in terms of the different hubs in the region are subscribed to that.
What was the hardest part of leading the Windhoek Hub, and how will that help you now?
Yeah, so I was the curator, which is the hub leader for the Windhoek Hub in 2023-2024. And my focus at the time was very much on projects, right? Really having more projects. In that year, we had about 4 or 5 projects. Some of them won awards, etc. So for me, I didn't focus enough on the people, right? So that means that there needs to be a balance between the people and the processes, because there are the shapers, which are actual human beings that are doing the work, and then there are the projects that are benefiting the community. So it's ensuring that the people that you're working with they're good, that the rapport between the shapers is good, that it's really a friendship in a community, because that way you can have a bigger impact. So I think one thing I'm definitely going to focus on, as I mentioned, is engagement within the hubs. So ensuring that it's 51% fun, 49% impact, because that's really one way to sustainably ensure that 1, shapers are active, but 2, they are also basically creating bigger impact because they want to be there and not because they are forced.
What's one project or goal you'd love to see happen across Southern Africa during your term?
So in terms of goals, I think it's really linked to also the vision that I have. So it's really ensuring that governance, engagement, but also developing stronger and more systems change projects is one of them. So that's really my goal with the region for this year at least. And we are already working on ensuring that hub charters are in place, that they are on par. The next step is going to be on advice on engagement, right? Can we have barbecues as a team outside of just meetings and projects? Can we do activities together as shapers? Can we go hiking? Just to create more fun and community, and that way people will also feel like they belong to this Global Shapers community. And then I think finally also it's just looking at having the hubs be more visible globally. One example is, with the Windhoek Hub that won the Innovation Prize this year, which is basically a Global Shapers Prize for high impact projects. And this project was focused on mental health for boys in Katatura. And
yes, tell us a little bit about that.
So it's called the Better Boys, Better Men project, and it basically speaks to the crisis that we have, this global crisis of male mental health, and particularly male suicide. Namibia in particular, based on our research, is struggling very much with this, where suicide rates in Namibia are 4th highest in Africa and 11th globally. And we see these statistics, right? Between 2020 and 2023, at least 80% of suicides were males. And this is because men don't have a space to speak and to ask and reach out for help. So ours was really looking at what can we develop as an intervention to this. So we created the Better Boys, Better Men project, which is for boys between 16 and 21 years in Kadatura. And the program is focused on personal development with the underlying objective of also improving mental health. And we take them through personal identity, we take them through emotional intelligence, healthy masculinity, but also, you know, the component of sexual and reproductive health and rights. Because what we're trying to achieve with this project is by showing them that, you know, this is what it actually means to be a man or a human being, so that they can choose differently. And I think the challenge of also why we chose Kadatura specifically is because there are these large socioeconomic challenges like poverty, substance abuse, crime, gender-based violence, and the likes, where these boys have this added pressure on top of just, you know, everyday life. So it's easy for them to choose to fall into the wrong crowds or to fall into crime and drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and to just be bad men, because that's what they generally see. And I'm not saying that is only specific to Kadatura, but I'm just saying for this demographic, this is what they see. And based on your environment, you become what you see and what you are surrounded by. So our program is more of an intervention to show them that, you know, there's also this way, and they can then choose whether they want to follow that or not. So it was really successful, and we won a prize from the Global Shapers community. So we were one of 8 hubs out of over 100 applications. So with this funding now, we're able to scale that project, and it's basics like, you know, paying for transport for the boys to get to the sessions every second Saturday. It's paying for a facilitator fee. It's paying for meals, because some of them come from, they don't have food at home. But then also just developing a booklet. We want to develop a manual where this program can live outside of Global Shapers, where we can have training of trainers so that they can also basically do these programs in other regions around the country. So that's really the goal.
So for young Namibians that are currently watching, what message do you have for them? And also, how can they get involved?
That's a message. Please get involved. We really want to invite members between 18 and 27 years old to join the Global Shapers Windhoek Hub. We are on all social media platforms. So please reach out to us. We are constantly recruiting. We're looking for new members. And it doesn't matter what background you have. We do projects in all areas, whether it's education, technology, climate change, or even, you know, mental health like Better Boys. So please do reach out to us. We are recruiting actively, and we want to work with young people, but particularly also people with different educational and professional backgrounds, so that we can also, you know, work in different areas. So yeah, for us, it's a call. We definitely want more people on board, and we want to grow the Windhoek Hub, potentially even open other hubs in other cities. So for us, it's really a call to young people. Please reach out to us and join us.
So you spoke about social media. What's the name on the...
Yeah, so it's called Global Shapers Windhoek Hub on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X, on Twitter.
Email, telephone?
Email is windhoekglobalshapers@gmail.com. And then not a dedicated phone number as yet.
Okay, so I think that's enough. Yeah. At least you give a... So how does that make you feel to represent Namibia at the regional level?
I think it really speaks to what I'm most passionate about. Like I mentioned, my big passion in life has always been Pan-African youth empowerment and development, and this directly speaks to that. It's bigger than just Windhoek or Namibia. It's really Southern Africa and an African extension. And I think it speaks to the fact that I did the work as a shaper for 8 long years, and I feel like it has been 2 minutes. Like, I want to keep doing it, but it also comes, you know, with heavy is the head. So it's really this almost added level, but also progression, where now I'm called to advise others on how to do it. So for me, it's a privilege and an honor, and I'm so happy that, you know, the head of Global Shapers community, Natalie Pierce, as well as the Sub-Saharan Africa manager, Raisa Kanku, entrusted me with this responsibility, you know, because it's not something I applied for, it's something I was asked to do. And I'm happily agreed, and I would be a shaper for 20 more years if I could, because I believe that the power of these people across 150 countries is unmatched. And also being linked to the World Economic Forum, it really also gives us those resources and the network to do more.
Lastly, if there's anyone out there that has an idea of a project, are they welcome to present it?
Yes. So we do partner with institutions. Our goal is really not to replicate or to step on any toes. For us, we want to partner. And even with the Better Boys project, there are few male mentorship programs going on right now. We want to see how we can partner with them. We actively want to reach out to them so that we can combine our efforts, because the end goal is really the boys and the young men. It's not about us as Global Shapers or anyone else. So for us, if you're doing anything and you want to work with the Global Shapers, please do reach out. We can obviously assess it, have a discussion. But yeah, the more the merrier. And it's really open. There's no limit to what we can do. The only thing I have to say is that we are not, ideally not politically affiliated. So for us, we have to be nonpartisan. So not doing any projects related to activism or anything politically related. But other than that, the scope is really broad.
Gerold, thank you so much. And really, I must say that it's quite a very good initiative just to empower young people and also shape tomorrow's leaders today through these projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, Namibia, that was Gerold Dreyer from the Global Shapers Windhoek Hub, and also who was nominated as the Southern Africa Community Champion for the 2026-27 period to oversee all the 13 hubs in 5 countries. You know, if you're out there and you're hoping to be part of a community, young people, to set up initiatives that will shape minds, communities, and our entire country, that will help, you know, some of the struggles we have, this is the call for you. So contact them on social media, be part of it. You just never know what your ideas could contribute.